This is what I wore back in the 80s.
Chris Egan is with us for our Friday, our weekly Friday visit here on May 3rd. He's got the Rainiers hat. He's got the windbreaker on that's red. If you're just listening, go back and watch it on YouTube. Are you? Let's just be honest here, Chris. You just had a birthday this week. Congratulations, 51. We'll get to that in a second. And you might be going through a midlife crisis. Is that midlife crisis now you turning into be a blood member? Is this like a blood versus Crip war?
I think anybody Puckett watching on YouTube would love what you're seeing right here. This is a vintage Sergio Tacchini sweatsuit that a lot of the great tennis players wore in the 80s. I think we've also seen Byron Murphy's father wearing these beautiful sweatsuits at the draft. He was at Seahawks headquarters earlier this week. It was good to catch up with him as well. Proud Papa. I was there for that press conference. Puck, it has been nonstop. I don't know what's happened since, I've joined you on your podcast, but from the last podcast to where we're at today, just let me give you a few things that have happened. Okay, Puck?
Give it to me.
I was at the Kraken, their big press conference. Ron Francis, we can go over that. I was at every game I went to, the Mariners won. I didn't go to the day game. They lost that game. We were at the Seahawks. We were at the Boys in the Boat. We're in town for the Windermere Cup. It's in Seattle. That's rowing for everybody. The Paris Olympics.
Do you think someone that's watching or listening to this right now
could be,
doesn't know Boys in the Boat?
Well, you hear Windermere Cup, you may think it's like a real estate event going on, but
it could be.
Yeah, it could be. But that's
if it was an event, how would Melanie Egan do?
Melanie Egan would be number one in the real estate event. We love Melanie Egan. Make sure you follow her. She doesn't have a podcast, but I'm trying to get her one.
Okay, so what would the events be in
real estate?
How fast can you take your shoes off before you come in the house and put on the slippers?
There'd be an inspector event, inspecting your house with your real estate agent. There'd be
and then the agent asks, how many times can you get in as they follow you around the house? Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know.
And then I always love to. It's like when you open up the hood of a car and guys try to act like they know the end. And God bless all the real estate agents. And I think my wife does know most houses. But when somebody goes, "What type of woodwork you got up there?" And it's a mahogany.
What's the roof been replaced?
Yeah. Puck, and I don't know, last but not least, I don't know if you know that the King 5 now, home of the Kraken, by the way.
I haven't heard.
Paris Olympics are coming.
Oh, you got the Kraken, but you got it all.
We got a zebra on the loose in North Bend, but maybe the biggest story worldwide right now, Puckett.
So I haven't followed that story. What is going on with the zebra?
A zebra got loose and they just can't find it. So there's a zebra in North Bend somewhere.
Is it made up though? Did I see something where it's okay? It's real.
Yeah. Unlike now, if you recall. I want to say it was about 8 to 9 years ago. There was rumors that a tiger was on the loose in the Puyallup-Tacoma area, and that ended up being a false story. That was played up.
Is there a chance this is fake? No, is this real?
I think there's a zebra on the loose out there, and
okay, all right.
I was out, and I'm going to say this: if people are like, "How can you not find this zebra?" I was out in Monroe earlier this week with a couple of U.S. archers. There's a lot of land. There's a lot of land out there in Monroe and North Bend. So this zebra could easily be hiding out.
I'm kind of with these people though. How can you not find the zebra?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's like it sticks out.
But how extensive is the search right now? It's not like it's just a couple people out there looking for the zebra.
Yeah, I like it.
We don't have.
How many people do you think are on that? Is there anybody at the TV station at King 5 that is currently, as we are recording this here on Friday, is there anyone that is on the search for the zebra?
No. In fact, they've kind of put me as the permanent zebra correspondent. So once I'm done with this podcast, I'll be heading to North Bend I'll stop off at Seahawks rookie minicamp, and then I'm on. They want me. Apparently, I'm the one they want. If that zebra is found, they want me to be there with the zebra.
Yeah. So, well, you kind of are a zebra guy. And do you know, by the way, congratulations to you, episode 74.
Okay.
Pucksports.com. All of it here on Friday, May 3rd. Best number 74 in Seahawks history.
Is that Nash?
No, Nash is 72.
Okay.
Who was 74? Was George Fant 74?
Could have been.
Yeah,
I'm pondering.
Not a lot of great 74s.
No, we need to do better there.
Do you want to wrap up anything more on Zebra? What
No,
you want to pump up the Olympics more? You want Kraken?
I think we're burying the lead, Puck, and I don't know if you need to get a sponsor in right now, but
I want to get the sponsor in. If you want, before you get the lead, can I get the sponsor in?
Get it in, because let's get to the big story of the week.
Yeah, Egan's brought to you by Fat Zach's Pizza. They got 3 locations in Sumner, downtown Puyallup, and also South Hill. It's the home of the original No Big Dill Pickle Pizza. Also, you can book their 3 food trucks for catering, birthday parties, graduations, whether or not. How about book one of their food trucks, folks, and you can drive around North Bend looking for this damn zebra and while having a nice pie from Fat Zach's Pizza. They got corporate events as well, voted best of the Sound 2 years in a row for pizza. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at fatzachspizza.com. All right, what's the lead? What are we bearing?
Well, and let's not forget, graduations are coming up quickly here, parents. So if you're listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, let's not, once again, nobody likes a croissant sandwich at a grad party. Get a pizza.
The croissant sandwiches like from Costco in the big circular tray, one?
Yes, one of those. Okay, Puck, you mentioned the pickle pizza. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. It's trending everywhere right now. Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, I have it written down.
Is on social media right now, Puck, pumping up his Panalones pickle margarita. But here's the great thing. When Matthew McConaughey speaks, the world listens. And what is Matthew McConaughey? I'll paint the picture as he's trying to sell this pickle margarita. But what is he doing? Yes, he is playing the greatest sport in the world right now, pickleball. And at the end of the commercial, he's with a rather attractive gal as they're talking about how they
That's his wife.
Is that his wife? Okay.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, that's his wife.
You've seen this.
Yeah, I've seen it. He's got his ass hanging out. Of course I've seen it.
Him and his wife are putting together this Panalones pickle margarita, the power couple in America, in the world right now. And at the end of it,
they didn't even know who she was.
Well, now I do. They're playing pickleball pantless. And as much as I love all the media, the attention for pickleball, I'm saying this right now, exclusively only on the Puckett podcast. Please, everybody,
it's called pucksports.com.
Yeah, whatever.
We've only been doing it for like a month.
Pucksports.com. Way to get yourself another mention in there, Puck. What I'm saying right now, Puck, is everybody watching and listening, do not play pickleball pantless. We are in a fight right now with people that think the sport is too loud already. That's a battle that we can handle because they're making paddles that are a little quieter. What we don't need is people to start playing this sport pantless. We do not need this. Not only is it not attractive from a distance, Puck, but it's dangerous. If you get near the kitchen and you get a pickleball in the pickle, I mean, that is trouble right there.
There's no more pickle.
Yeah.
There's no more pickle if you're in that kitchen get popped in that old pickle. I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be kind of fun playing pickleball and just waving your puzzo around everywhere.
Well, I mean, I saw that there's a cruise ship now that is offering
like a nude pickleball,
nude cruise ship.
Oh, so really?
Now there's pantless pickleball. But
are you going to try it?
I will not try pantless pickleball. No, I will. Maybe call me old fashioned. There's nothing attractive about that for me.
Okay, so
but Puck, I want to say this before we move on to everything here. Yeah. Pucksports.com is doing great. I mean,
finally got it right.
There's people listening to Pucksports.com, the #1 podcast in the Pacific Northwest, hoping to take over the country. But in the spirit of Matthew McConaughey, Puck, okay? Who started this whole conversation. I want to fire you up a little bit, Puck.
Are you okay over there? You almost fell out of your chair.
I don't think you're ready to go, Puck. So in the spirit of Matthew McConaughey, Puck, I just want you to Pucksports.com. #1 podcast in the country. Pucksports.com. You're the common denominator, Puck.
Yeah. Don't break your microphone. We just got you set up with the new one. Don't break it.
Listen, The pucksports.com. Okay, there we go. I'm ready.
You know, he had that was one of like the most brief, great roles in Wolf on Wall Street. Was his role in that?
Yeah,
it was great.
I thought it was hilarious.
What about my idea for you now?
Okay,
because I think the Kraken have a new TV home, right? What is it?
If you have not heard, the home of the Kraken now will be King 5 TV.
Okay,
Tony Ventrella, Lou Gallows, Paul Spilby, Chris Egan.
Ventrella, you gonna bring Ventrella back? Just
Tony
out there skating, cutting hair of a Grubauer and the crew. Hey,
Carlos Del Valle.
What a pull! And back for one night only. It's Jeff Renner with weather from Climate Pledge.
Weather from the ice, yeah.
Weather from the ice. How about pickleball on ice with skates?
I think.
What do we think?
I think it would actually be really good. You know what? I don't think that's a bad idea.
Can you skate?
No, not very well. But you know,
do you have to use one of those guides? Because that's what I have to use. You know, the little walker.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was at, I think it was Suncadia or bed with the family, and I was using one of those guides to kind of just help myself around.
The only time I did it, my brother-in-law lives in Aspen, and then we did it there. Now, it was awful. You look like a complete spaz.
Yeah, and my claim to that is that as you look at my outfit today, this is my 1980s tennis outfit. I played so much tennis that I sprained my ankles quite a bit, so I don't have a lot of ankle strength down there anymore. So, it's nice to have ankle strength if you're gonna ice skate.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, happy birthday. I mean, I thought we were going to bury the lead, but your Ichiro Suzuki, Randy Johnson, the big 5-1, not as fun as the 50. I mean, right? 5-1 gets kind of thrown away after you turn 50.
Well, yeah, 50, you know, all the relatives are coming over. 51, you know, I didn't even see my mom and dad. I got a call. And then my mom gave me a gift. I don't know. I'm not concerned, but my mom gave me a gift, and first off, she spelled my name CHIS, so she left out the R.
It's mom behavior.
Yeah, and then she gave me a notepad and a pen, something I could easily get at work. But
wait a minute. Yeah. Wait a minute. She gave you a notepad and
wrapped up one of these and a pen.
That was the gift.
That was one of the gifts. Yeah, she says she wants to take me out to the Bon Marché or Nordstrom's to get me a nice dress shirt, which is code for I haven't been dressing up.
Yeah. Do you think she just forgot and then she just found something around the house and he's a reporter, so he always needs a pen and a notepad. So let's just throw that in there.
I mean, it's similar to the gift my wife got a couple of years ago from my mom, which was a bag of brownie mix. But it wasn't. It wasn't even It wasn't even the box. Like
she just took the brownie mix out and put it in like a Ziploc.
Put a bunch of stuff in a Ziploc bag and told my wife it's a brownie mix.
Was it like code? Hey, you need to start, making some treats for my little Chrissy.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
What was it?
Well, it was just some type of brownie.
Was it laced with anything, or
I don't know. We made it through. Through. No, 51 was fun. It was, we had a good time with the family. All three of the kids were back, so we had a great dinner. Great, that I'll tell this to everybody that's listening. You can go out to all these fancy dinners and spend hundreds of dollars, but for me, it doesn't get any better than just being at home with the family and having a nice dinner at home. So,
look at you!
Yeah.
Look at you! What'd you have?
Well,
was it a home cooked meal?
We had a 2-night birthday dinner. The first night we went
2 nights. What do you share?
Yeah. Well, we just had my wife and the 3 kids, and we did steak. We got some steak, and then we got some Dungeness crab, and then the wife puts together a little hollandaise sauce, so it's steak. Little steak Oscar, and then
good for you.
And then when we brought my wife's family in, we did a little Cinco de Mayo, street tacos, some fresh cod, shrimp, beef tacos. Delicious.
Good for you.
Delicious.
You can't eat out anymore. How is it down in the South End? Is there any price point difference if I drive 30 miles south?
Not much.
I go out to eat here, and I can't do it anymore. I just can't. It's minimum $30 for like 1-2 people. You just can't do it.
Well, not only that, the price point is so high, and I've always been a very good tipper. But now you can't go anywhere, Puck, without tipping. I mean, everything wants a tip nowadays, and I have to start trying to figure out what I want to tip anymore because you do anything now.
Okay, so we went out to breakfast last week. My wife was out of town, so I took the kids out to breakfast on a Sunday. We normally don't go out. Well, she doesn't like to go out to breakfast, but I like it. So we go. There's a little place right by our house, and it's been there forever. We go in there. It's nice. It's like an old converted house into a cafe, and everybody if you live in the area, you know what I'm talking about. So we go in there. It's a great spot. We've been there many times, and I order. This is all we order. Just 3 of us. I get like the lox eggs Benedict. My daughter gets chili killis, and then my son just gets, because not very hungry, like a side bagel, which I'm pretty sure this side bagel was like one of these bagels you just buy from the store, like it's like a Franz bagel, and then a side of fruit and 1 piece of sausage. Now with tip, which I only tip like the minimum because I was like, yeah, she didn't cover.
What's minimum to you, 20 or 15?
Oh, I went 10.
Oh, 10. Okay, wow.
Well, she never came back around to offer any more coffee. Not one time.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, well, I'm not going to, you never once came back to ask you on anything more. So whatever, you get 10%. It was $74.
Wow. For just a breakfast.
But like, and the 1/3 of it was like a side bagel and a sausage patty and a small cup of fruit. It's just dumb.
And
I
that's
can't
what
do
I'm
it anymore.
saying. You can eat at home now, and you get yourself some steak and Dungeness crab, and you don't even feel bad anymore about that. I will tell you about service. We were at a pizza joint going fishing with my youngest son and my dad, and my dad has just got to the age now where he doesn't really care about what anybody around him thinks. So
isn't that refreshing? We
weren't getting service as well, and at one point my dad just sticks $100 up in the air and, does anybody want it? Does anybody want it? I'm willing to pay for my meal. If you want the money, here it is.
God bless him. What's your father's name?
Ed.
Again? Ed Egan.
Ed Egan.
Are you eligible to run for? Well, how old is Ed?
He's 82.
You're right in line to run for president, Ed. Yeah, Let's go. Ed Egan, 2024.
I think he's a 7-time term fire commissioner of Pierce County.
Let's go.
Former, head of safety for Weyerhaeuser. He was ahead of the curve. He brought in the 3rd pickleball court into the state of Washington, into our house. I mean, so I think Ed's got the pedigree to do it. How about this, Buck?
Wait, can I stop? Can I?
Yeah,
Can we do? I don't want to pivot off this.
Yeah.
How was it? Because I remember doing that one time at a bar in Fremont, and I got thrown out for doing this because I think no one was service. I was just putting a $20 up. I'm like, does anybody want it? I mean, let's go. So how was it received when he put the $100 bill up in the air? Does anybody want it?
He kept it up in the air, honestly, for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I finally said, Hey, Dad, why don't you take Luke to the car? I'll take your money and go up to the cash register. So I quietly kind of just dissolved the. But this is a guy too. He could be at Canalus. He could be at the finest restaurant, and he's always going to find something wrong with something, which is okay.
I would love for your dad. Can you please take him to Canalus just for? What, does he have a birthday coming up?
He's got something coming up. We'll take him.
Okay, just being dad. Let's take him to Canlis.
Yeah.
And I want you at some point just to get him to throw. First of all, $100 is going to get you like an appetizer there.
Maybe a mashed potato.
Just maybe like one little shrimp or one little something, and just hold up the $100.
Yeah.
Does anybody want it?
Oh, and well, that trip we go to Westport. We were fishing for lingcod and sea bass, and we did phenomenal. We limited it out, and my son, my youngest, had the biggest lingcod for most of the trip. And then the final fish, my dad catches the biggest lingcod.
Great.
So we're on a boat with 9 other guys that have come in all the way from Montana. And these are 9 country, these are nice guys, but they're very serious. They had their own little thing, biggest fish wins, and they put like $20 on the pot.
Yeah.
This is my dad on the entire boat ride home. Guys, I don't want to jump in, but I did catch the biggest lingcod. So, and one guy, he's like,
pony up.
He wanted them to pay him, and they're like, sir, you weren't even in our contest. He goes, well, the rules on the boat is I did have the biggest thing.
Now, was Ed being serious?
I don't know. I think he was joking, but he wanted to make sure everybody knew
that he got
caught
the biggest
fish.
How big was it?
Gosh, I mean, I think it was about a 30 to 40 pound ling cod.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
not too
good.
bad. Yeah.
You mentioned this earlier. Were you out there? Oh, by the way, congratulations to the folks at King 5. They do. I didn't know they. Well, I did know, but I was reminded of it that you guys do a media like Windermere Cup boat race every year. Who do you compete against? All the other TV stations?
So I'll give you the quick breakdown of media competition. There used to be a media softball league, which I was the coach of the King 5 team, which we won 3 years in a row. And it actually got pretty, it was almost like the Cheers when we battled Como in the championship one year and things got a little heated.
Okay, who got heated?
Well, their pitcher was talking smack with one of our sales guys, and then I stepped up to the plate and I told the pitcher, who was still talking trash to our guy, so I got to protect my guy, Puck.
You do.
I'm always about the team, and I told the guy, hey, I said, where do you want it? He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm going to hit a line drive. Where do you want it? He goes, what are you talking about? I goes, well, I'm going to hit one right at your face. So make sure you duck. And sure enough, he pitches, and I send one right over his head, and the bench is clear.
Did we punches?
No punches, just a lot more trash talking.
Do we know who it is? Was it a
sales? It was one of their sales guys.
Oh, so
not an Eric Johnson that we'll talk about a little bit later.
No. Who else was playing it? Any TV personalities playing in it?
They didn't have as many on their team. They had a lot more salespeople.
Okay.
But it was time
because salespeople have time on their hands.
Yeah, they do. And apparently the sports guy that covers zebras as well. But I got a little too competitive. This was during my competitive Chris ages, and one girl at King that's on Evening Magazine. I'm not going to name her, but I got mad at her because she didn't slide into third to avoid a tag, and she reminded me she was not going to slide, and I'm like, well, I'm going to remind you, then sit on the bench.
That's how you should act. Okay, so wait a minute. So the Windermere Cup though.
Thing, and so about 9 years ago, Mike over at Como in the sports department, he's big into crew and rowing. He started up this media on
Mike Ferrari, for people who don't remember, a former sports anchor at Como.
Yeah, so he started kind of with Windermere and the UW, this media cup that takes place on the week of Windermere. It's a way to get more attention to the Windermere Cup.
Sure.
And Como has I think the first year Cairo may have won because they had a gal that was like an Olympic rower. Then Como has a bunch of rowers, so they won like 8 years in a row. And King has just never kind of been able to figure it out. And I was part of a team with Greg Copeland that finished dead last. I mean, we were awful. I don't know what happened, but Copeland and I were laughing, but we were way behind. And this year, something went wrong in the Como boat, and the King boat, battled Q13 and ended up pulling it out in the end. So you would have thought we won the Super Bowl, though. I got to work that day, and everybody's just jumping around. And, Egan, did you hear about it? I'm like, no, I haven't heard about it.
Who was in the boat for King 5?
Jake Wittenberg. Weather guys, Mike Everett, Adam Claybon, Farah Jadrin, who does the morning show.
Any of the Swifties?
I don't think any of the Swifties were in the boat, which is probably a good thing.
We're going to be on the sideline and we'll be drinking.
They were still ecstatic about Taylor Swift's new album.
We can't make it. We're still listening to Tortured Poets. I love you. I love them.
Welcome to my weekend, Puck.
Okay. So you won Windermere Cup.
Yeah.
So then some of the actors, right, for Boys in the Boat were out there this week, right?
They had about 7 of the actors that were in the movie Boys in the Boat. But in the end, I mean, they were great to talk to, but in the end, I thought the best soundbite came from the coach from Wisconsin. And I actually asked him, I said, what is so special about Windermere Cup? I mean, we're from the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. We know what it is. And this guy at Wisconsin won a gold medal in Athens for Team USA. He's won thousands of events over the years, but he says there's just nothing like Windermere Cup. And you guys just maybe don't appreciate it or don't understand it. But when we come here and you go through the Montlake Cut, it's like a stadium for rowers.
It's awesome.
It is so loud. And he goes, I've never heard an area so loud in my life. And I'm talking about crossing the finish line in Athens for a gold medal, and it doesn't even compare to the Montlake Cut.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a credit to our region, Puckett, everybody that has been behind this. I mean, there's just thousands of people that have kind of helped pump up rowing in our area. It's really taken off, and it's going to be exciting. It's an Olympic year. There's a lot of rowers from our area that have a chance to compete in the Olympics, but I think it's one of those events that we just can't take, well,
it's a fabric of our community, and it's a big part of who we are in Seattle and this area. And I think that because we're so close to it, right? We live in it. We just don't fully appreciate it. And if you've read the book, Boys in the Boat, it's just the long, rich history of rowing in this area, and just and especially early on. Maybe it's changed now, and it probably has. But early on, those kids, those boys that were rowing, even though there was some of it, it was sort of working class kids. And I think that's what Boys in the Boat reminds me of Seattle, because it's different what Seattle is now.
Yeah.
But still at its core, Seattle is very, very blue collar.
Well,
and those kids represented the blue collar nature of this area.
It's interesting you say that, because I mentioned Wisconsin. The other teams that are in the Windermere Cup are the teams from Italy. And they were mentioning they're the team that actually lost to the U.S. in 1936 in Berlin in the Olympics, along with the German team. But they were talking about how in Italy, it's the same kind of thing, Puck. It's the blue-collar kids, because they had to get in their boats and row out to the big ships, all the goods. So they would just kind of row back and forth. So that's what they did as a job to get, all the goods, all the bigger boats. So
let's have an uncomfortable conversation. Are you ready to have an uncomfortable conversation?
Well,
it doesn't have to be
you
long.
And I always do. Yeah.
Okay. The movie was terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
it just was. It was terrible.
If you read the book,
I was so disappointed. I looked forward to watching that movie more than anything when it was that last year when it came out.
Yeah.
I've read the book twice.
That's
love George.
The problem, Puckett.
I love George Clooney.
Yeah.
Right? I was so thrilled when he was doing the movie. It was terrible.
Well, I didn't read the book yet, and I want to read the book, because everybody's like, you have to read the book. So it's on my list now. Because of the history and all that taking place. But Puck, I think it wasn't as bad for me because I didn't read the book.
Okay.
But everybody that I heard read the book and then watched the movie had a reaction like you did too.
I think
it was just they were disappointed in some of the things.
It just didn't do it justice, like who Joe Rance was, and like what he went through, and it's just. And I know it's a movie; you got to get it all tidy in a couple of 2 hours. But I don't know.
I mean, would you have preferred Joe Rance like?
I just, there just was a lot left out that really should have been highlighted in the movie.
Taking the romance and just throwing that out and brought in more.
Well, no, the romance was a big part of the book. I mean, they were high school sweethearts, but like the ending of it, with him and the old guy. I mean, I know it's a movie that's had nothing to do with it. I mean, that wasn't there. And there was a lot that was left out of like their struggles and their trials and tribulations as freshmen going up until when they finally went to the Olympics. Whatever. It's just when you look forward to something and then it just kind of falls flat. That was
I did enjoy the race scenes. I thought those were kind of fun, how they watched and they would get on trains and go down there.
I just didn't like, the fact that he didn't film any of it here. Not one single scene was filmed here. And his excuse was that it just, doesn't look like 1930s, Seattle anymore. I get it, but God, there had to have been something shot here. You could have done, taken out, you could have, with the technology, could have taken out New Husky Stadium, shoot it and just, take it out of the scene, but whatever.
Or the graffiti along the Montlake Cut.
Or the hobos. I mean, you can take out the hobos and the graffiti. I mean, or add it in. You never. Well, there were hobos back then, right?
Sure.
Times were tough. Hey, as the episode is out as you and I were recording this here on Friday, May 3rd.
Okay.
But on Thursday, I got a chance to sit down with the great Eric Johnson, who after 39 years in television announced his retirement. I couldn't believe he'd been doing it that long. It's unreal. Eric Johnson, obviously you guys have crossed paths many, many, many times over the years. I think there's a lot of people, and I told him this, I think there's a lot of people that watch him that don't realize that he started off in sports.
Yeah.
They just know him as the Como, TV, nighttime anchor.
And he probably mentioned it, Puck, but that's where his little hero segment came out of. Was the sports department. It was going out to the youth sports fields, and it was him and a photographer by the name of Doug Pigsley, who's still at Como, who's kind of big behind the little hero segments, would just go out and shoot some video of kids playing, and Eric Johnson would take that and write a masterpiece. I've had the pleasure of 23 years to work side Paul Sylvie, who I call one of the great ones in Seattle. But Eric Johnson, Puck, I've got nothing but great things to say about him. This guy is a class act through and through. When I first came to Seattle, Northwest Cable News, I think I was over at a Sonics practice. Eric Johnson was there. I still remember to this day, and this was honestly 23 years ago, him at the Sonics practice facility saying, "Hey, Chris, I'm Eric Johnson. I've heard about you. I've heard great things. I'm excited you're coming to Seattle." And this is a guy that I'm not even working with, but you know him as one of the legends in this town. The other kind of cool thing I loved about Eric Johnson is my path was similar. We weren't in the same markets, but this is a guy that just worked hard. Went to Wazoo, did the small market route, and found his way to Seattle. We talked about that where I said, I went to Klamath Falls, Medford, Boise, and then Seattle. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I went to Wazoo, and I did that same thing, Chris." And, and just I think he could – we talk about there's a younger generation of reporters coming in. Nothing bad, but it's a lot about them. It's like, look at me on Instagram. Look at me. Here I am. It's a lot of that. Eric Johnson was never about that. Eric Johnson was always about the people, the events he was covering. And that's kind of something I try to learn from him. And he motivated me because this guy is one of the best writers I've ever. His writing is absolutely phenomenal. He kind of made some, he did pretty good on Facebook as well. He grew an audience there through his stories. So I've got nothing but great things to say about him, and wish him the best in retirement. So.
He's got a great story. I'll tease it for those who haven't listened or watched to it yet. It's up on all the platforms. Hey, by the way, pucksports.com. I'm not sure I mentioned it yet.
No.
Also, it'll be up on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. It's up there right now if you want to go listen to it and watch it. But he tells the story of the exact moment where he came up with Eric's Little Heroes.
Ooh.
It actually was in, I'll tell you, it actually wasn't in Seattle. It was in Portland. It's a great story how he came up with it and how it was born.
And I pitched Egan's Little Zeros, but the sales department doesn't want to run with that one yet, quite yet. But we'll see. Puck.
That's like when David Locke did Sloppy Seconds after Mitch's bigger dance. That was my favorite. That was my absolute favorite. You mentioned the Byron Murphy press conference real quick. So the dad was there, the mom, the parents. I mean, these are like my favorite parents of all time.
Puck.
These two.
I'm going to tell you a story.
I love them.
Parents. This is my favorite story because everybody was so focused on Byron Murphy, and I'm like you. I'm a dad, so I kind of sometimes look at the parents. The dad is over there videotaping the whole thing. And Bob Condotta asked Byron Murphy about, "Hey, tell me about when you were 6 and you had to play against 9 and 10-year-olds." And I thought it was one of his best answers of the whole press conference. He just goes like, "Oh, man, I dominated. I used to run over people, And I look over there at his dad's videotape, and his dad's like, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did."
He was a running back in high school.
Well, could you imagine? He was like 255. But can you imagine one of our little guys trying to stop this guy? I mean, and then the best was he also says, when they changed his position from linebacker to D tackle, and his dad's over there like, didn't like it.
They are the best.
Oh, and then
God, I'm in love with both of them.
When he introduced his parents, I wish everybody could see this because I don't think any of the camera crews got a really good shot about it. He goes, "Hey, my mom's here," and she turns around like she's at the Emmys and waves.
just starts waving.
Hello, Seattle.
Oh, I'm here. And then she had a great quote. I think I saw it on, maybe I was on John Boyle's piece where She had said that from Seahawks.com that, I know what's happened the last 2 years with rookie defensive player of the years. We're well aware of it. It's going to change this year.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's real fun.
You know, she's going to call him every morning like, you better bring it today, son. You better bring it. I mean, great mom and dad. I think he's a great addition. I love the fact that he said, obviously I want to win. That's your cliche answer, but most people would stop there at I want to win.
Sure.
He followed it up with I want to be the defensive rookie of the year. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He was
awesome.
He was the second defensive player picked in the draft. I love the fact. I actually love the fact that Mike McDonald is about I think if you're
hey, loosen up a little bit though up there.
I'm okay. Puck, you got Schneider up there trying to still do his comedy act, and Greg Bell, News Tribune, asked him a question. He goes, "Are you going to let him run the ball? Are you going to let Ryan Grubb have a?"
To McDonald, yeah.
Yeah, to McDonald. He goes, "I don't think so."
This is Mike McDonald the entire press conference.
Which hey, he's in his mind. He's probably working on X's and O's. He's
just thinking of just like what are we gonna do today? What drill? But I mean, what a chiseled chin too, by the way.
Oh, I'm working on it, Puck. I'm gonna get there.
He looks like he's been like sculpted.
Yeah.
God, he just he's
I want
serious.
his workout plan. I want to know what his workout plan
well,
is.
It's not eating at night. You know what I did last night on Thursday? I was, because Daddy was still hungry at 11:30 at night. Just saltine crackers and shredded cheese on top, and let's microwave that for 20 seconds.
Saltine crackers with shredded cheese.
Yeah, my buddy. Shout out Mitch Spear College. That was kind of his go-to in college late at night. So I thought I'm gonna dip back into that. Not as good as I once remember. I'll be honest with you.
It doesn't say. Have you? A buddy of mine used to do English muffin, peanut butter with cheese on top, and would put it in the oven. Try that for a late night snack.
No, but I like my addiction to peanut butter, so I will.
So he took a little slice of cheddar cheese, put it over peanut butter, put it in the oven for when the cheese melts, pull it out, and
hold on, writing that down.
English
butter
muffin.
Cheese. Yeah, I got it. It. Lastly, I had my first kind of dust up Little League umpire.
Oh boy, I need the story.
And I feel awful. I mean, I felt so. I had to apologize afterwards. I wrote the guy.
Good for you.
I wrote him an email. I texted him. I called him.
Set it up for me.
It just wasn't even. It really was okay. So we're playing the game, and he's one of our umpires in our league. That's very, very serious, which is great because it's awesome. Like he's like a real umpire. Like when he comes to the games, it is like, oh my God, we're getting a professional Major League Baseball umpire. So there's he comes over, and I always forget things. Like you got your lineup. I'm like, what do you mean? Like the sheets? Like no, I don't have that. I don't have that. I mean, I got it. It's up on my little chalkboard, sure. And then I had to rip them off a piece of paper. I scribbled it. I go, here you go. And then it's like, Little League rules. No one can be outside of the dugout. No one can be warming up. No, other than the hitter, even the guy that's on deck, he can't be in the dugout with a bat, all of that stuff. And we have a donut, and I was giving the kids a donut. It's like, you can't have that. The donut for the bat? There's no bats in the dugout. They can't be warming up. And I'm like, okay. So he's very, very serious. And so one of the real stickler of it is no kids can be outside the dugout, outside the fence, and swinging a bat. So our kids are, they're 11 years old. They're idiots, right? Just like the coach is an idiot. And they're all just, running around getting ready to hit. And because we've played that way kind of all year. And it was constant. It was like every at bat, get your kids in there, get your kids in there. And it was, at one point, I'm just like, hey, they're 11. What are we doing here? It's Little League. It's okay. And he's like, you need to set an example for the kids. And I didn't say, he didn't say it like that. He's like, you need to set an example for the kids. I'm like, okay, you're right. And then so there was a play. I did not realize this. So there was kids will deke with the glove.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a couple of kids that they love to do it at second base. They just, they just deke all game long. Fake throw down, because we'll fake the throw down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then the second baseman or shortstop, the kid slide in, will, fake like he's tagging. Okay. I did not realize this. Did you know you can't do that anymore? Maybe you never could do that.
Not
you
in
can't
Little
not
League or anywhere.
Not in Little League, and then apparently maybe they've changed it. I remember growing up, we could do that all the time. Maybe it just wasn't enforced. But I guess even in high school, they've got away from it. So it's now obstruction. So it happens a couple of times, and they're all just playing around because the team we're playing, they all know each other because they all kind of play on the same club baseball team. Okay, so they're all just kind of goofing off by doing it.
Yeah,
and so it happens again, and he called. What did he say? Advance a runner because of obstruction. We go from second to third. I'm like, for what? And he's like, well, you can't deke the players anymore. You can't do that. I go, that's not a rule. You can't do that. You can do that. Of course you could do that. He's like, we grew up all the time playing this. And then I'm like, nope, it's in the rule book. Can't do it. I'm like, I'm going to look it up in the rule book. This is like at home play. I don't think that's a rule. No way that is a rule. It's like, it's a rule. And he's very calm. And I'm being a putz. I'm like, that's not a rule. Guaranteed. I bet you $5 it's not a rule. And then, of course, every parent's looking it up on their phone. And then my wife kind of walks around when I'm in the dugout. Yeah, that's a rule. So after the game, I apologized profusely to him. Like, you were right. I got to set a better example. I was a putz. I was an idiot. And I never get like this. And I don't know why.
Were you losing a tight game?
We were getting crushed.
Okay, so
we were down 9-0 after two innings or 3 innings.
There. If you're winning, you probably have a different.
Yeah, we're getting just obliterated. But it was the combination of that, but then also the rules of the kids can't be outside the fence. They can't even have they can't have a bat in their hand. And I'm like,
yeah,
because there's other umpires allow it. Maybe they shouldn't. So we've been, and so then I'm trying to, that you're coaching, and then you're trying to wrangle a bunch of, 10, 11-year-olds who are just throwing baseballs in the dugout, spraying water on each other, humping each other, all that stuff that happens in a dugout.
Yeah.
So the combination of all that, I was boiling over, and then we had like a ball that was hit really deep, and we're playing like at a field that doesn't have a fence. And we had talked before the game, hey, if it goes into the soccer players who are over there, it should be a ground rule double. Well, a ball ends up going over there, rolling in there, and they just signaled a home run because the kid came out. I'm like, didn't we just say that it would be a ground rule double? And
so you're losing, you're not getting the rules. But you know what's interesting, Puck?
I'm not understanding the rules, acted like an idiot, and then you know what? I apologize. At least I recognized that I apologize.
But honestly, in all this, I mean, I am a little concerned with the whole no fun league. And yes, I get it, Puck. You should set an example. But what are all these kids doing right now, Puck? They're all on their YouTubes. They're all on. Yeah. They're watching, and you know what they're watching, Puck? A team called the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they need to go out there and jump over the pitcher and throw a strike and pitch in stilts, but these kids now are seeing all this fun going on, and this is a league that's adding teams this year. It's not going away. So I don't know. I think I love baseball. It's still one of my favorite sports, but there's a younger generation with a shorter attention deficit, and I'm not saying change the game totally, but you got to have a little fun too.
Hey, the good news though for the Fisher Plumbing. Plungers up. We came back and won.
You won the game?
11 straight runs, 11-9.
Maybe needed a hot coach to kind of fire.
I think it was motivated the team a little bit. And
you know what? It shows you care. That's all I care about. It's the coaches that don't even care and just sit on the bucket and don't say a word the whole game, and they're just.
They sit on the bucket. They do this. It's just this.
Or the coach that only. Really, it's obvious he only cares about his kid and is maybe his kid's best friend, like, let's go, Johnny. And then when anybody else is pitching or hitting, it's like just nothing.
Yeah. You are a scholar, my friend. A great visit. His weekly appearance, Chris Egan, brought to you by Fat Zach's Pizza. Again, 3 locations, Sumner, downtown Puyallup, South Hill, home of the original No Big Deal Pickle Pizza. Find him on Instagram and Facebook, fatzachspizza.com.
Pucksports.com. Pucksports.com, #1 podcast. You're the common denominator, Puck. Keep it rolling, baby.